Hey, welcome to the Ozzstar Cars channel. We've got a leaking Toyota Tundra behind me, and it's parked between two Corvettes. And what did the one Corvette say to the other Corvette? I know there's a good punchline, so why don't you leave it down below? And in the meantime, let's get busy and fix this leak. So let me talk you guys through this real quick. It's fairly simple. As far as what the problem is, the customer says that there's antifreeze dripping on the ground, or coolant is what it really is. You can see how wet this radiator is. By the way, usually I'll say radiator because I was born in New York, but I'll say radiator for today's video. You'll see the wetness right there. And what happens is you have a plastic tank and an aluminum core, and there's a gasket between them, and that usually gets old and brittle and it'll start leaking. That's a major telltale sign, is this splash. Can you see this white splash mineral crap cooling all over the place? Look at that. Have you ever seen raspberry snow? There you go. The ultimate crusty right there. Nice. Anyway, you'll see coolant. It'll drip down, and I'll show you what's going on down below in just a second. I already started on this and figured I should film it because it possibly could help somebody out. What I start with is just remove this overflow hose here and get that over there. This is the tank that feeds to right here, and you'll fill that up when you're done. This one's empty right now. There's 4 bolts that hold this radiator in. There's one, well, that one you can't see that well. Right here's a bolt. I believe they're 12 millimeters. See him back in there? That's a good shot right there. There he is. Right inside that hole. So there's 4 of those. The 2 bottom ones you get through the bumper. This one has this big bull grill or whatever they call it. So through here and there. On the passenger side, you're going to have to remove 3 bolts from the transmission cooler. So there are 3 12 millimeter. There's one up here. There's one down there. You can see I got him loose with the rubber bushing. And then there's one on the left side. So the reason you want to do that is so you can kind of move this out of the way and gain access to that hole right there. Get your extension. You're going to need one of these Johns right here, 3/8, 12 millimeter. You're going to go right down in through there like that, okay? You know how to take a bolt out. I don't need to show you that. To prep it, what you need to do is drain the radiator first. So why don't we go below the car and I'll show you what to do down there. So what I usually do to catch coolant is get one of these pans. You can get them at the big box hardware stores. They're not that expensive, and you can mix mortar and stuff in them. They're useful for catching all this mess when you drain it. But let me show you where the actual drain is. Now I've got the lower splash guard, or I don't know what you want to call it, that piece of metal that goes across here, the undercarriage. There's just 4 bolts that hold that on. Somebody had this one snapped already. There was only 3 holding it, but there's 4 points, and you'll see them. I think they were like 12 millimeter. One was 2 or 13 millimeter. Anyway, here's what we came to see, and I've already loosened up the fan shroud because I want to show you something down. Oop, I guess I should put it on camera if I want to show it to you. Let me move this here like this. So right here, this is your fan shroud, and I've got it out of I removed it so I can show you that these like fingers like this fit right into this part right here on the actual radiator itself. So we'll go back up top and I'll talk more about that. But to drain most of your coolant, just open your petcock right here, lefty-loosey, and this will pee right out of here. You can if your coolant's good, you can reuse it. Otherwise, just dispose of it properly. Here's our lower radiator hose right here. Did I say radiator? I meant to say radiator. I'm confusing myself. Anyway, squeeze this clamp, get the lower hose off. Like I say, now's a good time to replace it if you have to. And this one actually goes up and connects into the inlet for the thermostat. This is our fan shroud. And down here, let me get the light, is your fan clutch. It's an aluminum vein looking thing. See that in the back of the plastic fan? Let me zoom a little bit, get you in a little, oops, hit the wrong button. There we go. You can see that there's your clutch, and that's held in with the 4 bolts. So you can remove those 4 bolts right here and take that clutch, get it loose from the water pump, and that's basically the fan spins on the clutch, which is spun by the pulley that's attached to your belt right there. And inside this fan shroud is where it sits. So it's very tight here. And what you would have to do is loosen your fan shroud, which I just did, and I want to show you that. And then that fan clutch, and pull, of course, their hoses out of the way. Pull everything up and out. Now to get your fan shroud off, there's 2 bolts. One's right here, which I just took in my hand. It's a little 10 millimeter. And take this one out. Take this guy out right here. Okay, let's get those out right now. This one's loose. This should be loose. I loosened them before we started filming. Like I said, I didn't plan on filming. Now that whole shroud is loose, and I probably should put you guys on a tripod and show you this, but I'll try to do it one-handed. Let me zoom out. There we go. So now this whole thing becomes loose, and what you can do, especially when the upper radiator hose is off, you can pull this kind of up and back. There's your fan. There's a good shot of it right there. So you couldn't just pull this out without removing the clutch, the fan clutch. But anyway, down below, let me show you a telltale sign here. Coming back around, and you'll see all that coolant that's been leaking. Now I haven't spilled anything. This is just how it was when I got it, when I saw it. And you can see the red streaking. See that? All the way down. That's a telltale sign you definitely have a problem. Never mind. You might catch it before it starts dripping on the ground. I don't know if that's going to focus. There it goes. You get the idea. So with this out of the way, and I showed you those fingers down there where they lock in, you pop this up and back. We should be able to get these 4 bolts out, and then after our hoses are disconnected, and pull this straight up. So let's do that next. So let's remove this upper hose clamp. It's going to be the same down below. And one of these days I'll buy that special little Toyota hose clamp tool, which I always say I'm going to get it, and then I never do. It's a little tricky. And if I get this here, I can show it to you up close in a second. I'm using a screwdriver and my pliers. There we go. It should lock in, okay? So now it's like a time bomb here. Let me show it to you up close. I'll take you off of there. I don't want to touch it in case it pops open. That'll wake you up. Here, let's get you off of here. So you don't have to do this, but these Toyota clamps, there we go. Let's get her focused. Lock in so that this becomes like, you know, stays open basically. You could just squeeze it and slide it back. So once we got our clamp loose, I'll just slide that back and we'll reuse that. And then I take this little hook tool right here, and it's nice for getting under the hose and loosening it up without ripping it. If you're going to reuse it, in our case we're going to try to reuse these. You could use a screwdriver if you're careful enough, and then just pull back on it. You got to wiggle these when they've been there for years. I have safety glasses on in case this thing starts to splash. So let me get 2 hands, grip that sucker and twist and pull, or push I should say. There we go. That's it. And then what I'll do is just tie this back here. I'll get a bungee and just keep this back out of our way. Let me grab that. We're at the lower hose. I got the clamp push back here, and we can start wiggling. I have my catch pan down here. Wiggle and pull, push, whatever. Might be some fluid coming out. Maybe I can get it on camera without being shaky. There we go. A little bit of pee. Not bad. We'll push this out of our way, and we should be good to go there. And while I'm here, let me just show you when your shroud is engaged into those feet. Those little feet are in there. That's what it should look like when you drop it down in there. So everything should pull up from the top now fairly easy. There's an important step I forgot to tell you guys. When you take out the radiator bolts, you got the one here and then the one down here on the driver's side, you need to take off this air deflector. So this pushes air towards this is your AC condenser and your radiator there. So the best way to take, and I've already taken a couple of these pins out. Let me show you one up close. So they look like this. These little black pins right there. These pop out. I use a cat's claw. You use a little pry tool. But what you need to do to get it started now, expect these to break because they're usually pretty brittle. I have a pick right here. You don't have to have a Snap-on brand. You can use any brand. And I just kind of get that out. If you don't have a pick, get a small screwdriver. And then I just kind of work behind here. Like I say, you could use this with your screwdriver. We'll see if this one comes out or snaps. So pull it out. This one actually came out okay. So once you release this part, the back end of it comes right out. Now to put it in, it's just the opposite. Boom. It goes in easier than it comes out. Now you can buy those push pins. They're inexpensive. You can get a kit. And let's get this out of the way now. Unless I have another one. Oh yeah, I forgot about number 6. So let's get down here and get 6 out. There we go. So 6 is out. We'll fish that later. Oh, don't forget about your wiring harness right here. So this one we got to squeeze from behind and get out. Let me get a pair of needle nose on that. A pair of pliers are right here. Let's see. And my little cat claw. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing down here. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. We're working on this right here. Can't see because there's no light. That would make sense. There we go. All right. Now it's official. Pop this through. Now my light's blinking, flashing. There it is. All right. Got her out. Get this doohickey out of our way. You gotta wiggle it. Just don't cut any of your wires or anything. You got a couple little harnesses here for the AC sensor. There goes your light. Oh boy. See, I'm showing you guys the real struggle. Come on, sucker. So to get the lower radiator bolt out, I've got a 20-inch extension, 3/8, with the swivel, and then a 12mm 6-point socket on the end. Now, if you don't have one of these long johns, just take a couple of your extensions, put them together, feed it right here through the bumper, down here, and I'm going to show you where that comes out. I might need 2 hands, but let's see if I can do it. Go right through that hole there, and through that core support, that's called. That's the radiator core support. And I'm trying to do this one-handed. Ooh, there's the bolt right there. Ooh, wait a minute, where's my, there you go. So can you see my socket right in there? And that's where your bolt is. So I'm on now. I'll get a ratchet and back that out. Do the same over here and get the top ones, and we should be good to pull this sucker out. Now this is one of those things where you might want to get a regular ratchet just to break the torque first. You don't have to have an electric ratchet, but let me zip this out real quick. Okay, I can see, you guys can't see it, but I can see that the bolt's out. So if that drops down in there, you're going to need a little magnet to chase it out. So I suggest you have, if you don't have one, let me show you guys. Get yourself one of these like little pocket magnet deals. They work real good for grabbing onto bolts, and you may have to fish that out. So while you're fixing your Tundra, you can do a little fishing at the same time. All right, we'll see if this guy will come out with me here. Slowly and gently. Nope, it fell off, so let's go fishing. And they make these in different sizes. Now this is telescopic. So, oops, this one's flexible too. I forgot, this guy's got flexi tip. Nice. All right, let me go in here. It's a little tricky sometimes. There it is. This might take a couple seconds. but you'll get it. There it is. There it is. Look, we caught a big bass bolt. There he is. So let's take this top driver's side off. I don't need the extension, or the swivel, I should say, on this one. Break the torque, zip it out. Reverse would be good. Okay, this one stay with me. And there we go. And they're the same size bolt as far as I know. Let's see here. Yep, they're all the same size. So let me get the passenger side out and we'll get to the next step. So over here on the passenger side, we need to get this top radiator bolt out, which is through that hole right there. So we've got the transcooler loosened, which I showed you before with the 3 bolts. Then you have this bracket right here that's in the way. We're trying to get in right through there. So it's a little tight when you lift up, because now the angle of your extension is on, bad. You can't get straight on there. So what we're going to do is just try to twist this bracket out of our way right here. Either take these 2 bolts out or twist it up like this, which I'm doing right now. There we go. Okay. If they won't come out, that's no problem. I just lost in the socket down there. Anyway, now we can get straight in on here. So I'll get a deeper extension and that should be good to go. Let me grab that right now after I just kicked the camera. So let's try it. Now I got like a 12-inch extension. I'll break torque on it and then we'll use our ratchet. There it is. I can feel it's on there solid. Snap it loose. Hopefully not snap it. Just break it loose and then zip this out. There we go. Should be good. Ooh, nice and steady, like playing operation. Okay, with the 4 bolts out, I'm going to attempt to pull this out without removing the shroud. And we'll see how that goes. Both sides up. And I just got to get this spout here out of the way. Let me go underneath and get that. So I just went under the truck and pushed that filler neck past the shroud, and it should come up and out. So, see? Oops, there goes my light. Timber. Good, glad I caught that on film. So here's the old guy, and we'll compare it to the new one. It's still peeing everywhere. There she is, kind of ugly. Look at that, been leaking a while. But anyway, down here I wanted to show you what I did. So the petcock, the little white petcock, is actually out, so you got a little more space. Here's those little bracket where the fan shroud actually slips over. Anyway, on the bottom of the shroud, I just pushed that out of the way so this side could come up, and then you've got this outlet right here. I did the same on this side, got under the truck for that, right down there, and just pushed the shroud back out of the way, and then you saw me pop it out. So that's what it looks like. I'm going to start drying some stuff off here and cleaning the excess coolant off. And what I'll do now is I'll pull the new one out. I'll drop it in. It'll be opposite of removal. It's going to be a little trickier to get these bolts in, not at the top, but at the bottom. But it'll take me a little time. I'll get it in and I'll fire the camera back up. So let me give you guys an update what's going on here. Got the old one out, which you saw, and it's not looking too swell. As you can see, there's where our leak originated from, so that's junk. Pulled out the replacement, and I saw that right there. Somebody feng shui'd on this one, and that's no good. These tubes are creased and kinked. You could have a couple of little bent fins. That's not a big deal. That's these between, right in the middle here. But these tubes right there are damaged pretty bad. So I went and got a replacement for the replacement. So hopefully everything works out okay here. I got to check the size just to make sure it looks right and everything's in the, where the brackets are and the outlets and This here, everything looks decent. A little tip and trick, because that's how we do it here on the Ozzstar Cars channel. So where the upper mounts are, these brackets here, there's a clip. Hopefully you can see that right there. There's a clip here, and there's one on the passenger side. Those need to go into, there's a little recess hole in the core support, so it can hang there before you get a chance to bolt it in, so you don't have to actually hold it. Down below, they don't have that, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, just wanted to share that little trick with you. All right, so everything's in, nice and shiny and new. Hopefully that lasts a while. A little pointer here. And if you happen to break these pins, which you probably will, get yourself one of these kits like I have here. Has a multitude of different size pins, you know, snap-in pins. And I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can get one of those sets. They're pretty inexpensive, and they're worth having. But anyway, the toughest challenge, I think, is just getting this bottom radiator bolt in to line it up. It's, you know, actually you're going through there. That was a little tricky, but otherwise it's all good. I put some coolant in the overflow tank already. On the back, on this side here, there's a full and a cold mark. So I went a little bit over the full line, because as it cools down, this system cools down, it's going to suck some of that fluid and fill the voids where there's some trapped air. But right now we're going to fill this up. I didn't put anything in the radiator yet. Of course, all the hoses are hooked up. Don't forget down here your transmission lines or cooler lines, these two right here. There's a little clip or cable clip kind of deal. You're going to have to release that. I don't know if I mentioned it before you start yanking stuff, just to get it out of your way. Release those two hoses. Anyway, get yourself some Asian coolant. Hopefully you can see that stuff. I'm using that brand right there. But that's the reddish pink. I think it's got some sweet and sour sauce in it. Anyway, let me pour this stuff in now. What I'll do is, you guys don't have to be bored, but I'll pour some fluid in there, some coolant. I'll top off this radiator. I'll start the truck. I'm gonna let it get up to operating temperature. I'll put the heat on in the cab, full heat. Let it run for a while. Make sure I'll keep an eye on this here. As this starts to go down, I'll put a little more in, then I'll put the cap on, get it hot, let it cool down, and I'll let it cycle like that a couple of times, and that should get the air out of the system. Don't forget to put your cap back on this overflow. I didn't have it on there when I showed you that, guys, so, or, you know, the recovery tank. And now I'll just fill this up. And what I'll do is, after this is topped off, before I even start the truck, I'm looking down in there to see how full it is. I will check for leaks before even starting it. And then we'll pressurize the system. Most of these run like, what, 15 to 17 PSI. And a couple of things while I'm thinking about it. If you're doing this job, you may want to consider replacing the thermostat at this time, the upper and lower radiator hoses, a new radiator cap. I'm going to use the original. That's what is requested here, so that's what I'm going to do. But those are some things you may want to consider. So while the truck's warming up, idling, I put the cap back on so the pressure can build up. I still have that belly pan here, the guard underneath. Why I left that off was so that I can check for leaks, because once you bolt that in, it kind of hides everything from underneath. You can't really see too well. So I will bolt that in. While this is off, let me just show you. So there's 4 locations I told you about earlier in the video. Stick this right here. So you've got this. You've got a bolt that goes through here, here, one there, and this would be the back passenger side. So that's how that's held in. At least this one was, and it's that simple. So anyway, everything's looking good so far. I'm waiting for pressure to build up in the hoses. This one's just starting to get warm. I can feel the pressure. It's getting hard, and take it from there. Okay, so I let the truck warm up maybe 15-20 minutes. I took it for a short test drive just to get the temperature up. Kept my eye on the gauge, made sure it stayed, towards the center, left the center, and everything seemed good. Had plenty of heat in the cabin. I'll let it cool down, and overnight it'll probably suck a little bit of fluid down. Make sure it's topped off and we're all set. Now, the only thing I didn't show in the video was the OE radiator had a foam strip at the bottom that was attached. Now that was all decomposed and kind of rotten, so I didn't transfer it over to the replacement. The replacement did not have it. I'm not sure how important it is, but anyhow, that's something just to keep in mind. So don't forget, we've got the running joke now, the one leaky Toyota between two Corvettes. If you got a good punchline, leave it down below in the comments. I'd be interested in reading it. Thanks for stopping by. Check me out on Facebook. It's Ozzstar. Instagram is Ozzstar with the number 1. Like and subscribe right here on YouTube is always appreciated. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.